I received a comment on my video, Chris Langan, the man who solved the universe, CTMU for beginners, which I highly recommend you check out, which said, you mentioned the soul. Are there still individual souls after death when the physical body dies? And if so, how does this separation work? What are souls made of? Is it made of telesis? Or do you mean that there is just one soul, the soul of the universe? Chris Langan says that there is a primary monad in the language of Leibniz, which is generalized to the CTMU operator algebra headed by the primary teller, which could be creatively termed the soul of the universe due to the fact that it comprises the essential basis of reality and the metaphysical essence of all things. You'll remember that Leibniz described his monads as window-like souls in which the entire universe is embedded in every point, infinitesimal objects which are couplings of mind and matter and scale to reflect the coherence of the primary monad. Us human beings, being intermediate strata in between these objects, called syntactic operators or tertiary syntactors in the CTMU, are secondary images of the primary teller or GOD, global operator's descriptor, which can be thought of as the soul or personality of ultimate reality. The mapping between the primary teller, of whom we are images, and into whom he projects his personality and being, breathes life into us, allowing us to fortify and renew his identity and evolve through the actualizing agents of teleologic evolution, is called the mu-morphic grammar in the CTMU. In an early Q&A, Chris Langan writes, for want of a better name, we can use the term soul to describe the channel, this is the mu-morphic grammar, through which individual and global utility functions are put into consistent mutual contact. This channel permits the sensors to make more informed, more global, and more valid judgments about what is good and what is bad, and gives them the internal strength to do what is good, even if it means sacrificing individual utility, because global utility is an aggregate function of individual utility. Serving global utility ultimately makes individuals happier. The soul is not attached to any particular terminal domain. As Langan says, God exists within an ultimate reality self-simulation, a self-simulation of ultimate reality within a metaverse, an existential potential for any possible universe. And therefore, if you are consistent with the teleology and identity of the God, Langan says, you can be recoupled with other instances of yourself in other worlds. We can be provided with a new body or a resurrection body. Death is not permanent at all. To summarize, Langan says, the human soul is a mapping from a primary teller who's up at the top of things and can never go out of existence. It can be changed in form, and sometimes it is changed in form, but everything is recycled. Nothing is lost. So death is really an illusion. If the primary teller, as it's called in the CTMU, if it is in its drive, if you are useful to it for that purpose, to self-actualize and self-identify, then it will carry you and regenerate you in order to have you around. We are secondary images of God, and upon death, we are retracted into the codomain of that mapping between God and his secondary images. And Langan says, after you exit this mortal coil, you will be retracted upward along the mapping that created you, and you will have a chance to reunite with God. God cannot grant salvation to anyone who actively opposes his teleology with their heart, soul, and might, because their metaphysical instance is negatively and destructively structuring reality through their mind and will, severing themselves from the source of existence. However, if you are of positive value to the primary teller, your identity will be regenerated and carried by it, and you can gain eternal life. What is heaven, then? Chris Langan writes, heaven is the pleasure aspect, the positive reward aspect of that which your own identity needs in order to evolve consistently with God. Your life, if lived well, remains an instance of the logical and experiential self-identification of God, and your metaphysical material is thus embedded in his limitless beauty, truth, and perfection forever. As put succinctly by Langan himself, you're living in a metaphysical universe of which you constitute an instance. Hence, if you do not sever yourself from it, you are eternal. If you are serious about teleologic living and the CTMU, you can go to megafoundation.substack.com to subscribe to the teleologic newsletter of the Mega Foundation, Chris and his wife, Dr. Gina Langan's organization, and chrislangan.substack.com to subscribe to Chris Langan's Ultimate Reality. That is the most important thing you can do right now, this minute, for the CTMU movement. Both will, as always, be linked in the description. Let the light shine forth in the darkness. May the peace of our Father in heaven be upon you. Like and subscribe. Peace.